have to go. I have a meeting with my academic advisor.
See ya.
Adios.
Come on in, Carrie. I've been reviewing your transcript. GPA 3.9, A's in all your science classes, double major. Very impressive.
Thank you.
Still planning on grad school?
Yes, Professor Allen, I am.
You know you're going to need 3 letters of recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, these grades will certainly help get those letters, mine included. And as your academic advisor, mine is especially important. But I must tell you that I have some reservations.
Reservations?
Well, I notice in here that you're not very active on campus. The only extracurricular organization you belong to is Young Life College. That's a religious group, a Christian group.
It's a non-denominational group, yes.
And then you live at home with your parents. Your father's a minister in the local church. And you are quite outspoken in support of your Christian beliefs and your notion of absolute biblical truth. Carrie, we live in a postmodern world. You have the right to believe anything you want. You know, there is no conflict between science and God. There is no issue between is there a God or isn't there, or be it a Christian God or a God of any other religion. It is simply irrelevant. You know, the only reality is the reality that each of us perceives. That's what's great about living now, you know, in this era. There are no absolutes, there are no restraints, there are no restrictions. The only truth is subjective, a truth that each of us believes and that works for each of us as individuals. Now, I have no issue with your father being a minister. I think that really he serves a very important function. By giving the common folk, you know, something to fear and some sort of hope of salvation to cling to, he sort of keeps the masses under control. As Voltaire said, if God did not exist, it would be necessary to invent him. This absolute biblical truth that you speak of with such a passion, I sort of see as an insult to those of other beliefs or to those who don't believe at all. It's also insulting to the very intelligent men and women who have come to understand that life evolves through random mutation, not through some, you know, divine transcendent intervention. This absolute biblical truth of yours, Carrie, simply does not exist. All right, well, let's talk about college. Now, you really must understand that more important than a college teaching some sort of specific craft, it's more important that it teaches young men and women to serve as leaders in the New World Order.
Leaders who understand postmodern thinking.
Yes, exactly. Carrie, I mean, you have a chance to become part of something really important here. I mean, your time on campus can open doors to the ranks of the cultural elite and the leaders of the country. All you have to do is become a little more active in college affairs, you know, and mix, accept the views of others, and, you know, put aside this notion of absolute biblical truth. When I was a child, I thought like a child, I talked like a child, I reasoned like a child. And when I became a man, I put aside my childish ways.
I didn't know you were religious, Professor Allen.
What do you mean?
Quoting 1 Corinthians 13:11.
I'm not religious. You don't have to be religious to know the Bible.
Then it's Sun Tzu. Know your enemy?
Oh my gosh, you think that we're your enemy? We are trying to help you. You believe that, don't you, Carrie? We are trying to help you.
Of course.
Carrie, you have such a passion. It's a wonderful thing. It just needs to be redirected. You must accept the reality of the postmodern world. There is no truth. Truth is relative. Reason and rationality are social biases. All lifestyles, religions, and worldviews are equally valid, and the only real sin is that of criticizing someone else's views or moral choices. Think about what I'm saying, Carrie, and put aside the childish ways. Carrie, don't let this adherence to something your parents might have believed stand between you and a wonderful life, between you and a career. between you and the opportunity to serve as a member of an elite group and to help shape a brave new future. We'll plan to talk about this a bit more next week, okay? I have some reservations. Put aside this notion of absolute biblical truth. Something your parents might have believed stand between you and a career.
American paleontologists, including Charles Walcott.
This absolute biblical truth of yours, Carrie, simply does not exist. Don't let this adherence to something your parents might have believed stand between you and a wonderful life. Between you and a career. Between you and the opportunity to serve as a member of an elite group and to help shape a brave new future.
There's a Professor Allett here to see you.
Thank you.
Oh, please, well, send her in, I guess.
Professor Myra Allett. So this is what the inside of a church looks like, hmm?
Yep, pretty much. Electric lights, indoor plumbing, everything except the paintings on the ceiling.
You mean like that church in Rome?
Yeah, like that church in Rome.
I came here to talk about your daughter, Carrie. I'm her academic advisor.
Carrie, yes, she's our daughter.
She has a very bright future. Do you know that?
We are very aware of that.
Did she tell you about our meeting?
She told me that when you met with her, that actually you sat down and you quoted the book of Corinthians to her. And yet a moment ago you couldn't remember the name of that church in Rome, the one with the painted ceilings, the Sistine Chapel.
Actually, I looked up that quote right before she walked into the room.
You trying to develop some kind of simpatico relationship with her?
Actually, to help make a point. Look, Mr. Wells.
Reverend Wells.
Okay, of course, Reverend Wells. I came here to ask your help with something that's very important to Carrie's future.
Okay, regarding?
Carrie's a bit too dogmatic. I appreciate the passion she has for her faith, but that kind of passion can stand in the way of her making full use of her incredible mind and of getting ahead in that world out there.
Not entirely sure I follow.
Carrie's simply too absorbed in her faith, and she is so absorbed in this notion of absolute biblical truth.
Now, hold on a minute. That's one of the reasons why her mother and I are very proud of her. But that shouldn't have anything to do with the fact that she's looking at a potential career in science.
Reverend, I know that you're a minister, and you're obviously a very well-educated man, so you surely don't believe that there are absolute truths which are always and everywhere true.
Well, of course I do. Don't you? I mean, you must. You're a scientist.
Science, yes, but I'm talking about the realm of religion and morality. I believe that each civilization determines what is right and wrong based on its local customs and beliefs, but nobody has the right to impose those beliefs on anybody else.
Sometimes I'm a little thick, so I want to make sure I absolutely understand this. When it comes to science, you believe that there are absolute truths that are always and everywhere true. But when it comes to ethics and morality, you don't think that there are any. So in other words, it's basically every culture for itself when it comes to ethics.
All I'm saying is that when it comes to morality and beliefs, it's perfectly acceptable for someone to believe that something is true for themselves, but they have no right to impose that and enforce it on anybody else, ever.
Let me ask you this. Are you familiar with this practice that occurs in some cultures around the world today called female circumcision, in which young girls are mutilated so that they never experience any sensation during sex?
I know about female circumcision. Actually, for years, I've been on the international organization that has been combating this barbaric treatment of women.
How is it that you're part of something where you impose your belief system, your understanding of right and wrong on another culture?
No, it's plain wrong. It's just plain wrong. Female circumcision is flat out wrong.
Well, so if you feel passionately about something, then that's an absolute truth.
Well, that's not exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but isn't that exactly why you came here today to talk to me about my daughter?
I don't think we're going to reach an agreement about this, do you?
Probably not.